The shuttle came to a stop outside the giant space station. Maya Collins pressed her face against the window and stared at the massive structure floating in the darkness of space. Celestial Heights Academy looked like a crystal palace mixed with a high-tech fortress. Lights glowed from thousands of windows, and ships of all shapes and sizes docked at various ports around its surface. Maya felt her stomach twist with nervousness. She was 17 years old and about to start school with aliens. Real aliens. Not the kind from movies or books, but actual living beings from other planets. She touched the small Earth flag patch on her jacket and took a deep breath. The shuttle door opened with a hiss. Maya grabbed her bag and stepped into the docking bay. The gravity felt a bit lighter than Earth's, making her feel slightly bouncy with each step. The air smelled clean but had a strange metallic taste to it. A floating creature drifted toward her. It looked like a jellyfish made of light, with long tendrils that glowed in patterns of blue and green. Maya tried not to stare, but she had never seen anything like it before. "Welcome to Celestial Heights Academy," the creature said. Its voice came from somewhere inside its body, soft and musical. "I am Administrator Quellis. You must be the human student we have been expecting." "Yes, sir. Yes. I'm Maya Collins from Earth." Maya held out her hand for a handshake, then quickly pulled it back. She had no idea if this creature could even shake hands. Administrator Quellis's lights pulsed in what might have been amusement. "Please follow me. Your roommate is waiting to meet you." Maya followed the floating alien through corridors that seemed to go on forever. Other students passed by, and Maya tried not to look shocked at each one. A creature with 6 legs and fur like silver grass, something that looked like a walking tree with eyes. A being that seemed to be made entirely of flowing water held in a transparent suit. They all stared at Maya too. She heard whispers in languages she could not understand. Some students moved away from her quickly. Others stopped to watch her pass with wide eyes or whatever they used to see. "Here we are," Administrator Quellis said, stopping at a door marked with symbols Maya could not read. "This is your room. Your roommate Kessa will help you settle in. Classes begin tomorrow. The Academy AI Sentinel will answer any questions you have. Simply speak out loud and it will respond." The door slid open and Administrator Quellis floated away down the hall. Maya stepped inside. The room was larger than she expected, with 2 beds on opposite sides. One side looked normal enough, though the bed was longer than a human would need. The other side was already decorated with posters and strange objects that glowed softly. "Hello." "You must be Maya." Maya turned and almost screamed. Standing in the doorway was the tallest person she had ever seen. The alien girl was nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that looked like it was made of clear crystal. Maya could see lights moving under her skin like fireflies. She had 4 arms, 2 on each side, and her face was beautiful in a strange, otherworldly way. "I'm Kessa," the crystal girl said, her voice bright and cheerful. "I'm so excited to have a human roommate. I have read so much about Earth. Is it true your planet has weather that can kill you?" Maya blinked. I guess. We have storms and hurricanes and things." Kessa's crystal skin brightened with excitement. "Amazing. And you have predators that hunt in packs? And poisonous plants? And your sun gives you cancer?" "Well, yeah, but we have sunscreen for that," Maya said, feeling a bit defensive about her home planet. "Incredible," Kessa breathed. "A real Deathworld human. Here, let me help you with your bag." Kessa reached for Maya's backpack. Maya handed it to her, and Kessa immediately stumbled under the weight. Her crystal skin flickered with strain. Sorry. Maya quickly took the bag back. "I forgot it might be heavy for you." Kessa straightened up, rubbing one of her forearms. "How much does that weigh?" "About 20 pounds, I think." "It's just some clothes and books." Kessa stared at her. 20 pounds. You carry 20 pounds like it's nothing." Maya shrugged. "It's not that much?" "I weigh 70 pounds, Kessa said quietly. "Total, my whole body." Maya looked at the 7-foot-tall crystal girl and tried to process that. Kessa was nearly a foot taller than her, but weighed less than half what Maya did. "Oh," Maya said. "I'll be careful then." Over the next few hours, Kessa introduced Maya to the academy. They went to the cafeteria, where Maya learned that most species ate things that looked nothing like food to her. Her own meal came from a special human food processor, since Earth food was too rough for most alien digestive systems. Kessa introduced her to her friends. Zeph was another Quellan like Administrator Quellis, floating in the air with glowing patterns across his jellyfish-like body. He spoke in a slow, thoughtful way, like he was always considering the deep meaning of everything. Rin was a Drexian, covered in what looked like feathers, but were actually tiny scales. He had large compound eyes like an insect and moved in quick, nervous jerks. He kept his distance from Maya, watching her carefully. Vork was a Grundarian, shorter than Maya but wide and thick, like a boulder with arms and legs. His skin was gray and rough like stone. He seemed proud and a bit cocky. "So you're the human," Vork said, looking Maya up and down. "You don't look that tough." "I'm not trying to be tough," Maya said. "I'm just trying to go to school. Humans are from a death world," Zeph said in his musical voice. "Their entire planet is a test of survival. Maya's ancestors had to be strong just to live." "My planet isn't that bad," Maya protested. "We have nice places too. Beaches and forests and cities. With hurricanes and bears and car accidents," Kessa added helpfully. Maya sighed. She was starting to realize that Earth's reputation in the galaxy was not exactly positive. After dinner, Kessa took Maya to the orientation center. A hologram of the academy appeared in the center of the room, showing all the different sections and safety features. Then a voice spoke from everywhere at once. "Good evening, students. I am Sentinel, the Academy's artificial intelligence system. I monitor all areas of Celestial Heights Academy to ensure student safety." The hologram changed to show different emergency systems, force fields that could snap into place in milliseconds, sedation gases that could be released into any room, medical drones ready to respond to injuries, security systems that tracked every student's location at all times. "Physical violence is strictly forbidden at Celestial Heights Academy," Sentinel continued. "Any aggressive action will result in immediate intervention. Our sensors can detect hostile intent and respond before harm occurs. This academy has not had a single violent incident in over 300 years. Maya raised her hand. "What counts as violence?" "Any action intended to cause physical harm to another being," Sentinel replied. "Pushing, hitting, or any form of physical aggression. Our sensors are extremely sensitive and can detect the force and intent of any physical contact." Maya nodded slowly. That made sense for a school full of fragile aliens. She would have to be very careful about how she moved and touched things. The next morning, Maya went to her first class. It was interstellar history, taught by a professor who looked like a floating brain in a jar of liquid. The other students gave Maya plenty of space, sitting several seats away from her. During a break, Maya stood up and stretched. She heard a gasp behind her. She turned to see Rin backing away from her, his feather scales standing on end. "Sorry," Maya said. "Did I scare you?" "You moved so fast," Rin said, his voice shaking. "I thought you were attacking. I was just stretching." "The speed of your movements is consistent with predatory strikes," Zeph observed, floating nearby. "Your reflexes are designed for hunting and fighting." Maya sat back down carefully. She had not realized that even her normal movements would seem dangerous to aliens. She would have to move slower, think about every gesture. At lunch, Vork challenged her to an arm wrestling match. The other students gathered around to watch. Maya did not want to embarrass him, but she also did not want to seem weak. She sat down across from Vork and put her elbow on the table. Vork gripped her hand with his thick, stone-like fingers. His friends cheered him on. "Ready?" Kessa asked, acting as referee. "Go," Maya pushed. Vork's arm went down instantly, slamming onto the table. The sound echoed through the cafeteria. Vork stared at his defeated arm in shock. "Best 2 out of 3?" he asked weakly. Maya won the next 2 matches just as easily. Vork sat back, looking stunned. The other students whispered to each other. Maya heard the word Deathworld repeated over and over. "How are you that strong?" Vork asked. "I train every day. I'm the strongest Grundarian in my age group." "I don't really work out that much," Maya admitted. "I mean, I play soccer and sometimes go hiking, but that's it." "Soccer," Zeph repeated. "The Earth sport where you run for 90 minutes chasing a ball?" "Well, yeah. And you consider that casual recreation," Zeph said. "Fascinating." Over the next few days, Maya started to understand just how different she was from everyone else. When she gave Rin a friendly pat on the back, he stumbled forward and needed a moment to catch his breath. When she helped Kessa move her desk, she lifted it easily while Kessa could barely push it. When she ran to class to avoid being late, other students pressed themselves against the walls in fear. Maya's first week at the academy passed in a blur of new experiences. She attended classes in mathematics, galactic history, xenobiology, and language studies. Each classroom was filled with students from dozens of different species, all learning together under the watchful censors of Sentinel. The teachers were patient with Maya, understanding that human learning styles differed from most other species. In xenobiology class, Maya learned why other species considered Earth a death world. The teacher, a floating being made of energy called Professor Thane, displayed images of different planets on the holographic screen. Most civilized species evolved on what we call garden worlds, Professor Thane explained, his voice crackling like static. These planets have stable climates, gentle weather patterns, and ecosystems with minimal predation. When intelligent life emerged on these worlds, they faced few survival challenges. The screen showed images of peaceful forests, calm oceans, and fields of strange plants under purple skies. Earth, however, is classified as a Class 7 death world, Professor Thane continued. The screen changed to show images of Earth: hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, sharks, bears, lions, venomous snakes. Humans evolved in an environment of constant danger. This shaped every aspect of their biology. Maya watched as her classmates leaned away from the images of Earth's predators. Some looked genuinely frightened. Human bone density is 3 times that of the average galactic species, Professor Thane said. Their muscle tissue is incredibly efficient. Their immune systems can fight off diseases that would devastate entire planets. They can survive injuries that would be immediately fatal to most of us. And perhaps most remarkably, they retained aggressive instincts even after developing civilization. A student near Maya, a small blue being with 6 legs, raised one limb. Are humans dangerous, Professor? That is a complex question, Professor Thane replied. Humans have the capacity for violence, yes, but they also have strong social bonds, empathy, and moral reasoning. They are perhaps the most contradictory species we have encountered, capable of great kindness and great cruelty, often in the same individual. Maya felt dozens of eyes turned toward her. She kept her face neutral, trying not to show how uncomfortable the attention made her feel. After class, Kessa walked with Maya to the cafeteria. I hope that lesson did not upset you, Kessa said gently. It is strange to hear my home described that way, Maya admitted. To me, Earth is just normal. I never thought of myself as dangerous. You are not dangerous, Kessa assured her. You are kind. But you must understand, for most species here, the idea of living on a world like Earth is terrifying. We cannot imagine it. They entered the cafeteria, a huge space with hundreds of tables and food stations designed for different species. Maya had learned to order from the human-compatible section, which provided familiar foods. Kessa got something that looked like colored mist in a bowl. They found their usual table where Zeph, Rin, and Vork were already eating. Maya, Zeph's lights pulsed in greeting. How was xenobiology? Awkward, Maya said with a small smile. Professor Thane basically spent an hour explaining why humans are scary. He does that every semester when a new species joins the academy, Vork said. When I first came here, he spent 2 classes talking about how Grundarians can survive in extreme temperatures. Made everyone think we were going to melt them if we got too close. At least you can laugh about it now, Rin said quietly. They were halfway through their meal when Derek Hunt appeared at their table. He was not alone. He had 3 other students with him, bigger species that looked physically strong by galactic standards, but they all stayed slightly behind Derek, like followers rather than friends. Maya, Derek said, smiling that confident smile of his. Mind if we join you? Before Maya could answer, Kessa spoke up. Our table is full, Derek. Perhaps you could find another place to sit. Derek's smile did not change, but something cold entered his eyes. He looked at Kessa like she was an insect. Was I talking to you, Crystal Girl? I am pretty sure I was addressing my fellow human. Maya felt her stomach tighten. She had avoided Derek all week, but clearly that was not going to work forever. I am eating with my friends, Maya said carefully. Maybe another time. Your friends, Derek repeated, looking around the table. The floating jellyfish, the bird lizard, the rock man, and the girl made of glass. Quite a collection of fragile things you have here, Maya. You should be careful. One wrong move and you might break them. Vork started to stand up, but Derek just laughed. Easy there, rock man. I'm just having a conversation. No need to get excited. Sentinel might think you are being aggressive. As if responding to its name, Sentinel's voice came from the speakers. Is there a problem at table 17? No problem, Derek said smoothly. Just welcoming my fellow human to the academy. Is that against the rules? Please maintain appropriate social conduct, Sentinel warned. Derek gave a mock salute to the nearest camera. Of course. He looked back at Maya. We should talk sometime, Maya, human to human. I think you are wasting your time with these weaklings when you could be spending time with your own kind. He walked away, his followers trailing behind him. The moment he was gone, Kessa's crystalline skin seemed to dim slightly. Are you okay? Maya asked. He makes me uncomfortable, Kessa admitted. He has been here for months and he always acts like this. He pushes people, takes the best seats in class, makes cruel comments. But he never does anything that Sentinel considers dangerous, so nothing happens to him. Why do not you report him? Maya asked. We have, Zeph said, his lights flickering in an angry pattern. Many times. But what do we report? He has not hit anyone. He has not directly threatened anyone. He is just mean. The academy administrators do not understand this kind of behavior. On their worlds, if someone is unhappy with you, they simply stop associating with you. They do not have bullies. Maya felt anger building in her chest. She knew bullies. Earth schools had bullies, even with all the rules and monitoring. But at least on Earth there were consequences for bullying. Here it seemed like the system was not designed to handle someone like Derek. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya saw more of Derek's behavior. He would take seats in the common areas and refuse to move, forcing other students to find somewhere else to sit. He would make loud comments in class about how certain species were weak or stupid. He would stand too close to smaller students in hallways, using his height and build to intimidate them. Maya tried to stay out of his way, but it was getting harder. She saw how her friends flinched when Derek came near. She saw how other human students seemed to either follow Derek or avoid him entirely. There was no middle ground. One afternoon, Maya was in the library working on an assignment for galactic history. The library was one of her favorite places, a quiet space filled with holographic books and private study pods. She was reading about the formation of the Galactic Union when someone sat down across from her. It was Derek. You have been avoiding me, he said. I have been busy with classes, Maya replied, not looking up from her data pad. Right, busy making friends with the aliens. Derek leaned back in his chair. You know, Maya, I tried that when I first got here. I thought I would be nice. Make friends. Show them that humans are not scary. You want to know what happened? Maya said nothing. They were terrified of me anyway, Derek continued. It did not matter how nice I was. They saw me as a monster from a Deathworld, so I figured, if they are going to be scared of me anyway, I might as well get some benefit from it. Now I get the best seats, the best resources, and nobody bothers me. They are scared of you because you act like a bully, Maya said quietly. Derek laughed. Call it what you want. I call it survival. This place is full of weaklings who have never faced any real challenges. They do not respect kindness, Maya. They respect strength. I do not think that is true, Maya said. Then you are naive. Derek stood up. But you will learn. Eventually you will see that being nice to these aliens gets you nowhere. When that happens, come find me. Humans should stick together. He left and Maya sat alone in the library feeling sick. Was Derek right? Would her friends always see her as dangerous no matter what she did? She did not want to believe it, but doubt crept into her mind. That evening she talked to Kessa about it. Her roommate listened carefully, then said something that Maya would remember for a long time. Derek Hunt is wrong about many things, Kessa said, but he is especially wrong about respect. My people respect you, Maya. Not because you are strong, but because you are kind despite being strong. That is much more impressive. Derek uses his strength to make others feel small. You use your strength to make others feel safe. Do you see the difference? Maya thought about that for a long time. The breaking point came 3 weeks after Maya arrived at the academy. She was walking with Zeph through one of the main corridors, heading to their shared mathematics class. Zeph was excited about a project he was working on, something involving quantum mechanics that Maya barely understood. And if the calculations are correct, Zeph was saying, his lights dancing in an excited pattern, it could provide a new method for faster-than-light communication without the usual time delay. I am going to present it in... Maya helped Zeph gather the broken pieces of his family's crystal. Each fragment crumbled into dust as they touched it. The damage was complete. 12 generations of Quellen history, gone forever because Derek thought it was funny. Other students stood around watching, but nobody said anything. Nobody confronted Derek, they just whispered among themselves, looking scared and sad. This was how it always went, Maya realized. Derek did something cruel, everyone felt bad about it, and then life went on. Nothing changed. Kessa placed one of her 4 hands on Zeph's transparent body. I am so sorry, Zeph, this is not fair. No, Zeph agreed, his voice hollow. His lights barely flickered. It is not fair. But what can we do? He did not break any rules. Sentinel will not punish him. The administrators will say it was an accident, even though we all saw what really happened. Maybe there is something we can do, Fork said. His rocky fists clenched. We could all testify together. Tell them what he has been doing for months. We tried that before, Rin said quietly. They said they would look into it. Nothing changed. Maya stood up, still holding pieces of the broken crystal. She looked across the cafeteria at Derek. He was laughing with his followers, completely unconcerned. He knew nothing would happen to him. He knew the system protected him. Where are you going? Kessa asked as Maya started walking. To talk to him, Maya said. Maya, no, Kessa called after her. He will just make it worse, but Maya kept walking. She crossed the cafeteria, her footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. Other students moved out of her way. They could see the look on her face, the set of her shoulders. Something was different about the human girl now. Derek looked up as Maya approached. He smiled. Back for more? Want to tell me what a bad person I am? Go ahead. I have heard it all before. You destroyed something irreplaceable, Maya said, her voice level and calm. That crystal was part of Zeph's family history. It cannot be replaced. So? Derek leaned back in his chair. It was just a rock that glowed. If it was so important, he should have been more careful with it. You took it out of his hands. You dropped it deliberately. Prove it. Derek spread his hands. Sentinel has the video. I am sure it shows me accidentally knocking it off the table. These things happen when you are as clumsy as me. His followers laughed. Maya felt her hands clenching into fists. She forced them to relax. You need to apologize to Zeph, she said. Derek laughed. Or what, you going to make me? You going to threaten me, Maya? Because that would break the Academy rules. Sentinel is listening right now. One threat from you and you are the one who gets in trouble, not me. He was right. Maya knew he was right. The system was designed to prevent violence, to stop physical confrontation. But it was not designed to handle someone who used the rules as a weapon. Derek had figured out how to be cruel without crossing any lines that Sentinel would recognize as dangerous. Just apologize, Maya said again. That is all I am asking. And I am refusing, Derek replied. What are you going to do about it, Deathworld girl? You going to cry? Going to run to the administrators? They will not help you. They never do. This is my academy, and these weaklings do what I say, including you. Something in Maya's mind went quiet. It was like all the noise and confusion of the past 3 weeks suddenly stopped. She saw Derek clearly for what he was. Not a monster. Not some unstoppable force. Just a bully. A normal, everyday bully who had found a place where the rules protected him instead of his victims. On Earth, this would have been handled differently. On Earth, there would have been consequences. Real consequences. Not just talking and reports and investigations that went nowhere. On Earth, sometimes bullies needed to be shown that their victims could fight back. Maya had tried being patient. She had tried following the rules. She had tried to be a good representative of humanity. But watching Zeph's heart break, seeing Derek's smug smile, knowing that this would just keep happening again and again, Maya made a choice. She punched him. It was not a wild swing. It was not an angry, out-of-control attack. It was a simple, straight punch to Derek's jaw. The kind of punch that on Earth would happen in schoolyard fights all the time. Enough to hurt, enough to make a point, but not enough to cause serious damage. The effect was instant and dramatic. Derek's head snapped to the side. His eyes rolled back. He fell off his chair and hit the floor, unconscious before he landed. The sound of the impact echoed through the cafeteria. For a moment, everything was silent. Every student, every species, every being in the cafeteria froze and stared. Some of them had never seen violence before. Some of the more delicate species fainted from the shock of witnessing a physical confrontation. Then Sentinel reacted. Alarms blared throughout the entire academy. Not the gentle chimes that signaled class changes. Not the soft warnings that reminded students of rules. This was a screeching, urgent alarm that Maya had never heard before. Emergency force fields slammed into place. dividing the cafeteria into sections. Maya found herself trapped in a bubble of blue energy, unable to move more than a few feet in any direction. Medical drones swarmed from the ceiling, their lights flashing red. Security drones appeared, hovering around Maya with stun weapons charged and ready. Sentinel's voice boomed from every speaker, loud enough to hurt. Code Black Emergency. Lethal force detected in Cafeteria Section 7. All students remain in place. Medical teams responding. Security teams responding. This is not a drill. Wait, Maya said, raising her hands. He is not dead. I just punched him. But Sentinel was not listening to her. The AI sensors had detected the kinetic energy of her punch. According to its databases, according to every calculation it could make, that amount of force delivered to a being's head should have been fatal. Should have crushed bones, destroyed tissue, caused catastrophic damage. More alarms joined the first. The entire academy went into lockdown. Classroom doors sealed. Dormitory sections isolated. Emergency bulkheads closed throughout the station. Students in other parts of the academy huddled together, hearing the alarms and not knowing what was happening. Medical personnel rushed into the cafeteria, expecting to find a corpse. Instead, they found Derek unconscious on the floor with a bruised jaw. They scanned him immediately, their instruments beeping and chirping. This is impossible, one of the doctors said, a spider-like being with multiple eyes. The force readings indicate a lethal impact. But he is alive, merely unconscious. Humans, another doctor said, this one a floating blob of blue gel. The attacker is human. The victim is human. They are both Deathworld species. The doctors carefully moved Derek onto a floating stretcher. He was already starting to wake up, groaning and touching his jaw. By human standards, he would be fine in a few days. A bruised jaw, a mild concussion, nothing serious. By galactic standards, he had just survived what should have been a death blow. More security personnel arrived, surrounding Maya's force field bubble. A tall, elegant being that looked like it was made of crystal and light approached. This was Administrator Vell, one of the Academy's senior officials. Maya Collins, Administrator Vell said, her voice musical but stern. You have committed an act of violence against another student. This is the most serious offense possible at Celestial Heights Academy. Sentinel has recommended your immediate expulsion and transfer to galactic authorities for criminal prosecution. He was bullying everyone, Maya said. He destroyed Zeph's family heirloom. He has been making students miserable for months. I reported it. Everyone reported it. Nothing was done. That does not justify violence, Administrator Vell replied. There are proper channels for complaints. There are procedures to follow. We followed them, Maya insisted. They did not work. Administrator Vell looked troubled. Nevertheless, you have broken our most fundamental rule. Violence is not permitted under any circumstances. The force field will remain in place until we determine what to do with you. Kessa pushed through the crowd of students, reaching the edge of Maya's force field. Administrator Vell, please. Maya was defending her friend. Derek Hunt has been terrorizing students since he arrived. We have all filed complaints. I have filed 7 complaints, Zeph added, floating over despite his dimmed lights. Derek has harassed me, mocked my culture, and now destroyed an irreplaceable artifact from my family. The system did nothing. Other students started speaking up. Rin Vork and dozens of others. They told stories of Derek's bullying, his intimidation, his cruelty. They explained how they had tried to follow proper procedures but nothing changed. Administrator Vell listened, looking more and more distressed. I was not aware the situation was this severe, she admitted. But even so, violence cannot be the answer. If we allow students to physically attack each other, where does it end? On Earth it ends when the bully learns to stop, Maya said quietly. I did not try to kill him, Administrator. I punched him once. That is all. On my world, that is how we teach bullies that they cannot keep hurting people without consequences. But this is not Earth, Administrator Vell said. This is Celestial Heights Academy. We have different rules here. Maybe your rules are not designed for species like us, Maya replied. Maybe your rules do not work when the bully is smart enough to stay just barely inside them while making everyone miserable. The holding room was small and plain, with white walls and a single window showing the stars outside. Maya sat on the only chair waiting. The force field around her had disappeared once security locked the door, but she knew she could not leave. Sentinel was watching. Cameras tracked her every movement. Hours passed. Maya tried not to think about what was happening. She tried not to imagine being expelled, being sent back to Earth in disgrace, being the human who failed to represent her species properly. Instead, she thought about Zeph's face when his crystal shattered. She thought about Kessa's fear every time Derek came near. She thought about all the students who had suffered because the system was not designed to protect them from someone like Derek. Eventually, the door opened. Administrator Vell entered, followed by 3 other beings Maya had never seen before. They were all different species, all wearing official robes that marked them as Academy leadership. Maya Collins, Administrator Vell said, taking a seat across from Maya. The others remained standing. We have spent the past 5 hours reviewing everything. The video recordings of today's incident, the complaints filed against Derek Hunt over the past semester, interviews with dozens of students, and consultation with human experts from Earth. Maya's heart pounded. This was it, the decision that would determine her future. The situation is complicated, Administrator Vell continued. By our laws, you committed assault. The evidence is clear. You struck another student with sufficient force to render him unconscious. Sentinel sensors recorded the impact energy. By galactic standards, that amount of force should have been lethal. But it was not lethal, Maya said quietly. Derek is fine. He will have a bruised jaw for a few days. That is all? Yes, said one of the other administrators. A being that looked like a tree with eyes. This is what makes the situation complex. We contacted human behavioral specialists on Earth. They explained that what we witnessed was, by human standards, a moderate act of violence. Not an attempted murder. Not even a serious fight. Just a punch. The third administrator, something that resembled a collection of floating geometric shapes, spoke in a buzzing voice. They showed us videos of human children playing, fighting as part of their games. The level of force they casually use against each other would hospitalize most species in the galaxy. We were shocked. Humans evolved to withstand trauma, Administrator Vell explained. Your bones are dense. Your skin is tough. Your bodies can take impacts that would shatter other species. This is a fundamental difference we did not fully understand until today. So what happens now? Maya asked. Administrator Vell looked at the other administrators, then back at Maya. That is what we have been debating. Some members of the board believe you should be expelled immediately. You broke our most important rule. Violence cannot be tolerated. Maya's stomach sank. However, Administrator Vell continued, others argue that the context matters. Derek Hunt has been bullying students for months. The complaints against him are extensive. He deliberately destroyed a priceless cultural artifact. Our system failed to protect the students he was harming. You took action when we did not. I did not know what else to do, Maya said. I tried everything else first. We know, Administrator Vell said. This is why the board is divided. We have never faced a situation like this before. Our rules were designed for species that naturally avoid physical conflict. We did not consider what would happen when a Deathworld species, shaped by violence and survival, joined our community. The tree-like administrator spoke again. There is also the matter of Derek Hunt's behavior. The medical examination revealed something interesting. When the doctors scanned him, they found evidence of previous injuries. Old fractures, healed muscle tears, evidence that he has been in fights before, probably on Earth before coming here. He knows how to fight, the geometric administrator added. He chose to use psychological intimidation here, because physical violence would trigger Sentinel. But he is not innocent. He is a bully who adapted his methods to avoid our security systems. Administrator Vell nodded. After reviewing everything, the Academy Board has reached a decision. You will not be expelled, Maya Collins. Maya felt relief flood through her, but Administrator Vell raised a hand. However, you will receive a formal reprimand. It will remain on your record for the rest of your time here. You will attend counseling sessions twice a week with Dr. Mara, who specializes in cross-species conflict resolution. You will write a formal paper on alternative methods of handling bullying that do not involve violence, and you will participate in a student committee we are forming to improve our safety protocols. I understand, Maya said. Thank you. As for Derek Hunt, Administrator Vell continued, his situation is more severe. The board has decided to suspend him for the remainder of this semester. He will undergo mandatory counseling. He will be required to formally apologize to every student he has harassed, and when he returns, he will be on strict probation. Any further misconduct will result in permanent expulsion. What about Zeph's crystal? Maya asked. Can anything be done? Administrator Vel looked sad. Unfortunately, no. The crystal is beyond repair. However, the Academy will compensate Zeph's family for the loss and will issue a formal apology. It does not replace what was lost, but it is all we can do. The meeting continued for another hour. They discussed the details of Maya's reprimand, the schedule for her counseling, and the plans for improving Academy policies. The human experts from Earth had provided recommendations for handling Deathworld species, and the Academy was going to implement many of them. Finally, Maya was allowed to leave the holding room. Security escorted her back to her dormitory, but the force field was gone. She was free to move around the Academy again, though she knew everyone would be talking about what happened. When Maya entered her room, she found Kessa waiting for her. Her roommate jumped up, all four arms reaching out but stopping short of touching Maya. Are you okay? Kessa asked. We have been so worried. Nobody would tell us what was happening. I am not expelled, Maya said, sitting down on her bed. She suddenly felt exhausted. But I have a reprimand and have to do counseling and write a paper. What about Derek? Suspended for the semester. Has to apologize to everyone. Probation when he comes back. Kessa's crystalline skin brightened slightly. That is more than I expected. Usually nothing happens to him. There was a knock on the door. Kessa opened it to find Zeph, Rin, and Vork standing outside. They all looked worried. Maya, Zeph said, his lights pulsing in an anxious pattern. We heard you were back. Are you in trouble? Maya explained the situation again. Her friends listened carefully, their reactions varying. Vork looked satisfied. Rin seemed relieved. Zeph's lights dimmed and brightened in a complex pattern that Maya had learned meant he was thinking deeply. I am sorry, Zeph finally said. This is my fault. If I had been more careful with my crystal, none of this would have happened. No, Maya said firmly. This is Derek's fault. He chose to be cruel. He chose to destroy something important to you. You did nothing wrong. But you got in trouble because of me, Zeph insisted. I got in trouble because I punched someone, Maya corrected. That was my choice. I knew it would have consequences. I decided they were worth it. Vork crossed his thick arms. You stood up for your friend. On my world, that is honorable. The Academy should have given you a medal, not a reprimand. On my world, violence is never the answer, Rin said quietly. But I am glad you did it anyway. Derek needed to be stopped. They talked for a while longer, but Maya could feel herself getting tired. Her friends eventually left, promising to see her at breakfast the next day. Kessa returned to her side of the room, hanging in her silk hammock. Maya, Kessa said after a few minutes of silence. Yes? Thank you. For standing up to Derek. For protecting Zeph. For showing us that humans can be strong and kind at the same time. Maya smiled in the darkness. That is what friends do. The next morning, Maya woke to find that everything had changed at the Academy. The story of what happened had spread to every corner of the station. Some students looked at Maya with fear now, seeing her as dangerous. Others looked at her with respect or even admiration. When Maya walked into the cafeteria for breakfast, conversation stopped. Students stared, but then Zeph floated over to her, his lights bright and welcoming. Good morning, Maya, he said loudly enough for others to hear. Would you like to sit with us? Kessa appeared at Maya's other side. We saved you a seat. Slowly, the cafeteria returned to normal. Students went back to their meals and conversations. Maya sat with her friends eating breakfast while they caught her up on what she had missed yesterday. The whole academy was locked down for 3 hours, Vork explained. Nobody knew what was happening. There were rumors that someone had been killed. Some students thought it was an invasion, Rin added. The alarms were that serious. I heard that medical teams were treating students for shock, Zeph said. Seeing human-on-human violence was traumatic for some species. They had never witnessed anything like it. Maya felt guilty about that. She had not meant to traumatize anyone. She had just wanted Derek to face consequences for his actions. It is not your fault, Kessa said, reading Maya's expression. They are learning that the galaxy is bigger and more diverse. 3 months passed since the incident in the cafeteria. Celestial Heights Academy had changed in ways both visible and invisible. The most obvious change was in Sentinel's programming. The AI now recognized patterns of psychological harassment and intimidation. Students could report non-physical bullying through a new system that actually worked. Response teams trained in understanding different species' social behaviors investigated complaints properly. Maya attended her counseling sessions with Dr. Mara twice a week. The doctor was a fascinating being, something like a collection of water droplets held together by an invisible force. She could change her shape to show emotions rippling when thoughtful, sparkling when pleased. "Tell me how you feel about what happened," Dr. Mara said during one session, her droplets forming a listening posture. "I still think I did the right thing," Maya admitted, "but I understand why the Academy was upset. Violence should not be the first choice, maybe not even the second or third choice, but it can be a choice." Dr. Mara asked. "On Earth, yes, sometimes, when everything else fails and someone needs to be stopped." Maya paused. "I know that sounds harsh to most species here." "It sounds like survival," Dr. Mara replied. "Your world shaped you to survive threats. That means sometimes confronting those threats directly. Other species evolved differently. They survived by avoiding conflict, by cooperation, by hiding. Neither way is wrong. They are just different." These sessions helped Maya understand herself better. They also helped her understand why the other species at the Academy reacted to humans the way they did. Fear was not about Maya being bad. It was about her being unfamiliar, being powerful in ways they could not match. The student committee that Maya joined was making real progress. They had created new guidelines for handling conflicts between different species. They established safe spaces where students could discuss problems without fear. They trained faculty members to recognize signs of bullying that did not involve physical violence. Kessa had joined the committee too. So had Zeph, Rin, and Vork. Together with students from a dozen other species, they were building something new, a system that worked for everyone, not just the species who designed it originally. "We need to add something about cultural artifacts," Zeph said during one meeting. His lights were bright again, though Maya knew he still mourned his lost crystal. "Items of cultural or family significance should have special protections. What happened to my crystal should never happen to anyone else." "Agreed," said a student named Petra, a being who looked like living stone with veins of metal. "On my world, we carve our family histories into stones. If someone destroyed one, it would be like erasing our ancestors." They added the protection to their recommendations. The committee's work was slow but important. Every species had different needs, different fears, different ways of handling conflict. Finding solutions that worked for everyone required patience and understanding. One afternoon, as Maya was leaving the committee meeting, she saw someone waiting in the hallway. Derek Hunt stood there, looking uncomfortable. He had returned to the Academy 2 weeks ago after completing his suspension and mandatory counseling. Maya had seen him around campus but had not spoken to him. She had been avoiding him and he had been avoiding her. "Until now, Maya," Derek said. "Can we talk?" Maya glanced around. Other students were nearby, but they kept their distance. "What do you want, Derek?" "To apologize. Properly, I mean, not just a message on a data pad." Derek ran his hand through his hair. "What I did was wrong. The way I treated people here was wrong. I knew it at the time, but I did not care. I was angry about how the aliens treated me when I first arrived, and I took it out on everyone." "That is not an excuse," Maya said. "I know. I am not trying to excuse it. I'm just explaining." Derek looked at the floor. "The counseling helped me understand some things. About why I was acting that way. About how I could have handled it better." "Why are you telling me this?" Maya asked. "Because you were right to hit me," Derek said quietly. "I needed someone to stop me. The administrators could not do it. The other students were too scared. You were the only one who could, and you did. It hurt, but I deserved it." Maya studied his face, trying to determine if he was being sincere. "Are you really going to change? Or are you just saying this because you have to?" "I do not know," Derek admitted. "I want to change. I am trying. But old habits are hard to break. I spent months building this reputation as someone people should fear. Now I have to rebuild as someone different. It will be hard," Maya agreed. "People remember. They will not trust you right away." "I know." Derek hesitated, then said, "I wanted to ask if you would help me. Not be my friend or anything. Just help me understand how to do better. You figured out how to be strong without being cruel. I need to learn that." Maya thought about it. Part of her wanted to refuse, to tell Derek to figure it out himself. But another part remembered what Kessa had said months ago, that humans using their strength to help others was impressive. Maybe that included helping Derek become better. Okay, Maya said. But if you start bullying people again, I will report you immediately. And next time, I will not punch you. I will let the system handle it properly. Derek smiled slightly. Deal. Over the following weeks, Maya watched Derek carefully. He was trying, she had to admit. He apologized to Zeph publicly, acknowledging what he had done and offering to pay for any counseling Zeph needed. He apologized to Kessa, Rin, Vork, and dozens of other students he had intimidated. Some accepted his apologies. Others did not. That was their choice. Derek joined the student committee too, volunteering to share his perspective on why bullying happened and how to recognize it. It was uncomfortable at first. Other committee members did not trust him. But slowly, as Derek continued to show genuine effort to change, they began to accept his presence. I used to think respect meant fear, Derek said during one meeting, that making people afraid of me meant I was strong. But watching Maya, I realized that is not respect. That is just being a jerk. Real respect comes from helping people, not hurting them. Petra, the stone being, nodded thoughtfully. On my world, we have a saying. The strongest rock is the one that protects the valley, not the one that causes the avalanche. I like that, Derek said. The changes at the academy were not just about bullying. The incident had started conversations about how different species could live together better. Human students, including Maya, were invited to give presentations about Earth culture. They explained human social dynamics, conflict resolution, even human entertainment like sports and action movies. The alien students were horrified and fascinated by human sports. The idea of people deliberately hitting each other, tackling each other, racing at dangerous speeds all for fun, seemed insane to species that avoided physical risk. You do this for entertainment? Rin asked, watching a recording of a football game. Humans run at each other and collide on purpose? It is fun, Maya tried to explain. It teaches teamwork, strategy, physical fitness. It looks like combat, Zeph observed, his lights swirling in confusion. It kind of is, Maya admitted. But controlled combat, with rules and safety equipment. Deathworlders are strange, Vork said, but he was smiling. These cultural exchanges helped both sides understand each other better. Humans learned that most species in the galaxy saw physical contact as intimate or threatening, not casual. They learned to be more careful, more aware of their strength. The alien species learned that human roughness was not always aggression, that humans bonded through physical activities that would terrify other species. One day, Kessa asked Maya to help her with a project. I am writing a paper about human psychology for my xenobiology class. Would you be willing to answer some questions? Sure, Maya said. They sat in their room, Kessa with her datapad ready. First question. When you hit Derek, were you angry? Maya thought about it. Yes and no. I was angry about what he did to Zeph. But when I actually punched him, I was calm. I had made a decision, and I followed through. Interesting. Kessa made notes. On my world, violence only happens when someone loses control of their emotions. But you were in control. Humans can be violent while still thinking clearly, Maya explained. We evolved that way. Sometimes you need to fight while still being smart about it. That is terrifying, Kessa said honestly, but also impressive. The ability to choose violence as a tool, rather than having it chosen for you by emotion. It can be dangerous, Maya admitted. That is why we have so many rules about it on Earth. Laws, ethics, social norms. We know we are capable of violence, so we work hard to control when and how it happens. Kessa's paper ended up being one of the best in the class. Professor Thane even asked if he could use parts of it in future lessons about Deathworld species. As the semester continued, Maya found her place at the academy. Some students were still wary of her, but most had accepted her. They knew she was strong, but they also knew she was kind. They knew she could be dangerous, but they also knew she used that danger to protect, not to harm. The friendship between Maya, Kessa, Zeph, Rin, and Vork grew stronger. They studied together, ate together, and explored the academy together. They taught each other about their different worlds, their different ways of thinking.